So the administration keeps saying it's not their fault the government shut down, even though they own everything. And layoffs might be beginning. Unnecessary layoffs, by the way. What's going on in Chicago? Why is Qatar? Why do they have so much influence in the US government? What happened today? And so much more. I'm Adam Kinzinger. I was a US Congressman for 12 years, an Air Force pilot for 22, and this is your Week in Review. Make sure to hit like, to subscribe, and stay involved. It really helps us with this channel, but also I want you to keep engaged and keep involved and know what's going on so that you can be the cool guy at all the parties talking about politics. I'm sure everybody wants to hear. So first thing I want to talk about, I put out a video recently just about how much lately I've been bothered by the tone of the deportations. Look, when somebody comes to the United States and they do it illegally, obviously they're violating the law. Obviously, I think it's important that they recognize that they could be deported. But deporting people that are down and out, that are so desperate that they're willing to risk their life to come to the United States to make peanuts just so that they can help their family survive, you recognize the humanity of that. The humanity of that is somebody in such a tough situation. And instead, what the U.S. government's doing, people like Kristi Noem with her Mar-a-Lago face, what they're doing is celebrating the human evil of this. They're like giddy that somebody that's down on their luck, that's desperate, is being punched in essence. They're punching down. How does that make you tough, by the way? If I went out today and I found a homeless guy and I beat him up, what would you think of me? Well, I certainly hope you wouldn't think I'm tough. I hope you'd think I was a piece of crap. And that's what's happening. I mean, again, it would be one thing if they were deporting people and like, we're so sorry, here's the way to do it legally. Instead, they're giddy about it. They're smearing their face into the ground. They're putting out videos where they're dragging chains. It's really disgusting. And listen, I don't know you watching this, what your religious belief is, but let me say one thing, and I think I can say this pretty clearly. You cannot call yourself a Christian and be okay with how they're treating these people. I'm sorry. It's just a violation of everything I know. But let's talk about the Trump shutdown. So the government stays shut down. It's kind of been a really low drama shutdown. Well, here's a bit of news for you. The Speaker, Mike Johnson, gave Congress again next week off. They have now canceled about 3 weeks of Congress. And so, look, they're still getting paid. That's one of the dirty secrets. Members of Congress in a shutdown still get their paycheck. And so Congress is getting paid. Now they're not having to work. And so the question is, well, what are they doing with all this free time? Are they doing town hall meetings? Doesn't sound like it. I haven't seen any town hall meetings. They're being lazy. All because they can't figure out how to fund the government. And they're trying to pin the blame on the Democrats. This is nuts. So, look. The fact they keep getting paid. Let me give you a little secret here. So all these members of Congress are going to put out a letter that says, I sent this to the clerk. I say, hold my pay until the government is reopened. And it sounds heroic. Well, let me first off say members of Congress are paid only once a month. So it won't even come into effect until the beginning of next month. But they're not saying take my pay. They're not saying don't pay me. They're saying simply hold it back. They want you to think that they're giving up their pay because it sounds like that, but it's not. They're still going to get their money. When the government reopens, they'll get their money. So know that. When you see those little games being played, we all did it. So make sure you know what that is and you call it out. So in this shutdown today, Russ Vought, the Dr. Evil of the government, has said that he's going to begin layoffs. Now let me be clear. At no point in any other government shutdown, and this has been common, but at no point has there ever been layoffs. So they're laying off people not because they have to. That's what they're going to tell you. They don't have to do anything. They're laying off people because they want to make it painful. This is their own government, by the way. They're going to sabotage their own government. That's how reckless these people are. So let's see what happens. Supposedly these layoffs are going to begin. Like they did with Doge, laying a bunch of people off without the consent of Congress, which they should have. And Congress is completely unwilling to defend their own arena, I guess, their own strength. Listen, I think the founding fathers of this country envisioned that there would be a guy like Donald Trump to come along. What they never envisioned is that Congress would roll over or bend over for Donald Trump. They always assumed that Congress would fight for their position, fight for their strength. And this one has become basically bending over a barrel, asking for Trump to come over. So Donald Trump got snubbed today for the Nobel Peace Prize. He has been campaigning to get a Nobel Peace Prize. Why is he so obsessed with it? I've got one answer. Because Barack Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize. And so he has to get it. But he didn't get it. Instead, an opposition leader in Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado, I think that's how you say her name, she got it. Very deserving for fighting for freedom in Venezuela. Why would Donald Trump get a Nobel Peace Prize when in fact he's talking about a war in the United States and he's bombing Venezuelan boats without authorization from Congress? Now that leads to another thing, which is this ceasefire in Gaza. Very good thing. My hope is, because what we're doing is there's going to be a ceasefire, and then ultimately they have to negotiate what Gaza looks like. And, the intention of Israel and the United States is to make sure that Hamas does not stay governing in Gaza. Now, we don't know how those negotiations are going to go. I have a hard time seeing those being successful, but at least we have a ceasefire now. And the hope is that ceasefire holds forever. We can go through, those diplomatic things, but it is about time to end that war. And so we'll see what happens. Donald Trump does get credit for that. We need to give him credit for that. He was kind of uniquely trying to force this issue. Not enough to get the Nobel Peace Prize, particularly with some of the other actions he's doing. But this is certainly a good thing. I want to talk to you real quickly about something we just launched. I've had this idea for these different kinds of shirts and hats, and it's not just merch. It's not Adam Kinzinger stuff. But I'm like, what are some cool things that could go out when people are going out to protest, or even if you're going to the store and you want people to see something that's not like MAGA, but just says like, look, we believe in the Constitution. And so I launched a website. It's called wearthemoutproducts.com, WEAR. Get it? Like wear them out, like wear them down, but also wear them out. Anyway, take a look at that. We've got some really good stuff. This is our soft launch. So, there's going to be more products that pop up. We're making sure that, that this is worth. And so far it's been very popular. So again, go to wearthemoutproducts.com and just know that, there's so many good options in there, whether it's showing your support for Ukraine, showing your support for democracy. The one that's been the hottest seller is the one that says like 3 branches, no kings. That's been hot. So join the team on that one. Okay, so let's talk about Qatar and what's going on. So if you remember, a number of months ago, Donald Trump got a free jet, $400 million from Qatar. Now, this jet is supposed to become Air Force One, which means the government's going to spend about $1 billion to upgrade it to Air Force One. But Donald Trump gets to take this jet with him when he leaves. It doesn't stay as Air Force One in the United States, unless the next president comes in and keeps it, which I hope they do. So he gets to take it and keep it. This is weird, right? The government's going to spend this money for Donald Trump. This is the most corrupt administration ever, by the way. I cannot think of a single administration in the United States that was even near as bad. Senate Republicans tried to block an effort. They did block an effort by the Democrats to try to stop this thing happening with Air Force One, and they blocked it. When the Democrats take charge in a year, if they do, which we hope, they need to do everything they can to stop any expenditure of money for this. But the other thing that was announced today, which is kind of weird, is Pete Hegseth announced that Qatar is going to open a training facility in the United States, at Mountain Home Air Force Base. Really the weirdest thing. We don't know a lot about it, but listen, Republicans used to be against foreign countries, particularly ones that aren't very friendly to us, opening military bases in the U.S. The question we have to ask is what's in it for Donald Trump? Because he doesn't do anything unless it benefits him personally. Anything. So there's some connections here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's more to come. And Donald Trump and his Department of Justice just indicted Letitia James, the Attorney General for New York, claiming mortgage fraud. I don't know the details of the case, but I do know one thing. She was targeted specifically because she went after Donald Trump. which is illegal, by the way. You cannot target somebody simply as revenge. And that kind of coordinates with the fact that Donald Trump put out on accident a post on Truth Social to Pam Bondi saying, you need to go after Adam Shifty Schiff, James Comey, and Letitia James. Now, that was posted as a post. We find out now from the work of the Wall Street Journal that actually he intended that to be a direct message. He didn't expect it to get out, which is creepy that he actually writes direct messages like that. But it also proves that this is something that was done simply because Donald Trump demanded it as revenge. So I have a hard time seeing how these cases against these people actually end up even going to court. But if they do, certainly without a conviction. But the point of Donald Trump is the indictment, because the indictment is embarrassing. It costs money. It's damaging to a reputation. It is easy to indict somebody. You go in front of a grand jury, and that grand jury just has to, and only the prosecution is the grand jury. There is no defense, by the way. They present a case, and you just have to believe that there's enough evidence to think that there's basically a chance somebody did it. So it's very rare that something doesn't get through the grand jury and indictment. But that's the punishment to them. So the last thing I want to talk about is the troops in Chicago. Now, Texas sent 400 National Guard soldiers to Illinois. Since Illinois did not consent to that, since the governor of Illinois did not consent, Texas Guard troops had to be put under Title 10, which is active duty orders. So they become active duty Army people, right? Same as the 82nd Airborne. So now you have active duty troops in Chicago, which according to our Constitution is illegal and very chilling. So a judge came out and blocked this, as they have in Portland. They said they cannot deploy. I think what they mean is they cannot leave basically wherever they're staying right now on a tactical deployment. But that is blocked while I think this case is going to be further litigated. Ultimately, the Supreme Court is going to have to make a decision. And I think it's very chilling that federal troops could be used against America. Let's be honest about what's happening in Chicago. They're sending ICE there particularly to provoke people, hoping they provoke people, hoping they attack ICE, hoping they attack the National Guard, and then false flag giving them the ability to bring in more and crack down on the American people. They are trying to provoke this. We have to resist, we have to protest, but do it peacefully, because it doesn't give them then the pretext that they want to do it. I think there is a chance that Donald Trump and the administration and creeps like Stephen Miller have decided they've kind of gone too fast on this. And maybe the American people are starting to say, we're sick of it. Seeing troops on the street is eerie. And seeing the kind of abuse that ICE is doing over and over again is starting to wear thin. So we'll see. I'll know more in a couple months. We'll be able to kind of sense where people are. But I'm wondering if this is the beginning of a big backlash. So we'll have to see. Again, remember to go to wearthemoutproducts.com. Take a look at what we have there. Hit like, hit subscribe to this channel so you can stay informed. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for paying attention. That was your weekend review. We'll be back here at this channel with some more videos and another weekend review next week. Take care.